Um, okay. Hi, this is Bill Vick, and I hope this is coming across as we expect, but I'm talking to my good friend Laurie Doyle. And Laurie lives in the beautiful wine country area of Missouri in Herman. And she's a patient. And I'd like you to introduce you to Laurie because Laurie does something that few of us manage to achieve. She not only lives with pulmonary fibrosis, but, and I guess I put this in big capital letters, Laurie, she lives with pulmonary fibrosis. Because your attitude, the reason I contacted you, I saw some postings you made. Your attitude was just so overwhelmingly bright and full of life. And I'd ask myself, how does she do that? Because I'm a patient and I understand the ups and downs and the days in and days out, some good, some not so good. How do you do it? And tell me about your journey. Tell me about the Laurie story in this disease.
Okay, Bill. First of all, thank you for letting me talk with you today. You're such an inspiration to so many of us, and especially me. I've followed you for a while. My journey began when I was about 12 years old with being diagnosed with Raynaud's disease. But then within 10 years, it progressed to a disease called mixed connective tissue disease, and which is a compilation of several diseases combined. And I have, and I'm just going to make this as brief as I can, been diagnosed with osteorheumatoid psoriatic arthritis, macular degeneration, fibromyalgia, mixed connective tissue disease, Raynaud's, degenerative disc disease, systemic lupus, systemic scleroderma, and within the past 3 years, pulmonary fibrosis. And it has not always been easy. I was on traditional meds for most of that time, but they didn't work quite well for me. And I had to find another way so that I could really enjoy life. I was just pretty much existing. My husband had to help me get dressed. I needed assistance walking. My muscle strength was 20 and my grip strength was 2. I really wasn't managing very well at all. But then I went to my chiropractor, and he read my blood work, and he offered some suggestions that might be helpful to me, and they were truly amazing. He suggested that I change my diet, and so now I follow a strict anti-inflammatory diet.
What does that mean? Because I've heard people say that before. I'm not totally sure what an anti-inflammatory diet is.
Okay, well, there are some foods that will cause inflammation, such as, and everyone is different, but we've tested these things for me, and we know they cause inflammation, such as nightshade vegetables, which would be peppers and tomatoes, things like that. I try to avoid gluten. I'm not celiac, but I do try to avoid gluten. I try to avoid grains at all. I eat a lot of vegetables and some fruits. And I'm trying to think of what else. I take a lot of supplements that combat inflammation, such as turmeric, boswellia, different things like that. And these have all been suggested to me by my chiropractor. After he read my blood work, he also gave me supplements for things I was lacking. But he's not my primary doctor. I do have a wonderful pulmonologist that I see at the Lung Research Center. He's one of the leading pulmonologists in the United States. I also have a wonderful rheumatologist. But they all respect each other and work together. I have a wonderful team. So then they support me very well, and that's amazing that I have such a team that would do that.
As I hear you talk, it's kind of like you're the team leader. Would that be a way to look at it?
Well, I decided that I know this works for me. And my doctors have seen over the years that, yes, it really has made a difference in how I'm basically 90% pain-free.
Wow.
And with everything I have going on, that doesn't happen.
That's great.
I take like 5 milligrams prednisone. I take a Prilosec because scleroderma affects digestion and acid reflux and stuff. So I take Prilosec. And I take a little known drug called low dose naltrexone, which makes your body produce more endorphins so that it tries to heal itself. It doesn't. I'm not healed. I'm not healed. I will have bad days, just like anyone else. But it tricks your body into into behaving a certain way, and so that I'm able to function much better. I mean, I can dress myself. Most people today, if you would see me, Bill, you have no idea I have anything wrong with me. And I don't like to flaunt it. I want to appear normal because I don't want pity. I don't need pity.
Yeah.
I want to enjoy life. I don't want to dwell on all the stuff that's there.
But here you are with multiple conditions, any one of which would probably clobber most people. And I think you're representative in some ways of many of the people that I've had the joy and luxury of meeting in my journey with this disease. And I say to myself, Laurie, and I say this all the time, why couldn't we have met before all this stuff happened? You know, it's like so many people with rich backgrounds. I think one of the problems that I see is that often we become patients and we stop being people. And all of a sudden the doctors now see us as patients and not people, and our family does the same thing. It sounds to me like you're first and foremost a live, well, vivacious person who doesn't let the disease get in your way. And it's not that you steamroll it. You don't. You live with it and maybe live beyond it. And you have a team of professionals helping you. I just think it's marvelous.
When I was first diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis, I must say I was devastated. Anybody is when they're given that diagnosis. And when my doctor walked into the room, and he's no longer my doctor, but the doctor at this time walked into my room and said, "Well, you're dying. We're just going to make you comfortable." And I thought, I am not dying. I am too young to die. I refuse to die until my last breath. And so he's no longer my doctor.
Good.
And I have chosen to live with it. And some people say, well, how long do you have? Well, how long do any of us have? None of us know that. And to worry about, well, I only have so many years left. I don't want to worry about that because that steals the joy from today.
Well, that's words of wisdom. It's wise what you're saying. I had a patient one time when I was first diagnosed, when I was diagnosed 7 years ago. And I was searching for what I call the silver bullet. And I think we all do that. You go out and you look around and maybe somebody hasn't found that cure, that thing. And like everyone, I did the same thing. And I came across a patient living in Florida who was really in the final stages, had been living with pulmonary fibrosis for 7-8 years. And she was bedridden at that time. But she still had a smile that went from ear to ear. Her name was Peggy. And I told her, I shared with her, I said, Peggy, when am I going to die? And I keep on reading these numbers at 3 to 5 years. And she said something to me that I've remembered every single day of my life. She says, Bill, she says, once you found the expiration date that God has tattooed on your bottom, you believe it. But until you do, you live each day the best way you can. And you know what? For 7 years, I've looked for that date and haven't found it yet.
I agree. And I also think, too, that first of all, I have a wonderful husband and family who I have great support from, an amazing medical team, and my strong faith in God. That all really helps make everything more peaceful for me.
Do you do any exercises of any type? I know you run a bed and breakfast, which is exercise amongst yourself. I understand that, but
I try to walk as much as I can. There are some days now because I'm dealing with the scleroderma and the arthritis and the degenerative disc disease. There are some days that I cannot walk. well, I just don't walk that day and make up for it on another day. I have my good days and bad days, but I try to push myself and I try to stay very busy. I try to stay focused on other people instead of myself. And I make goals and I try to set those goals. I'm trying to learn as much as I can as well. I don't, I don't look at it like, well, I'm going to die in a few years, so what difference does it make anyway? It's like, I want to live as long as I can. Let's see what I can do to make this better. And so I've listened to Noah Greenspan. And he's very inspirational. And so I'm learning still. I have a lot to learn.
We all do, yeah. Yeah.
And so I
but
do as much exercise as I can.
When I look at you, here's what I see. Here's what I see, and I think, here is somebody who's dealing with a full deck of cards, if you will. I mean, you've been dealt all the major diseases and comorbidities with PF, and yet you're eating right, you're moving right, you're thinking right, you're doing all the things from a lifestyle perspective that we should do. You're not dwelling, somebody once told me, I think it's true, dying is easy. It's the living that's hard. And you're living, and you're doing it every single day. How do you package that and put it in a bottle and hand it out to everyone that's out there, all 150,000 of us? How do we share that?
That's a good question. I do, like I said, if I try to think about what I can do for others, I think that really gets my mind on other things, and so I don't dwell so much on the pain that I'm in. Not that I'm not having pain, don't misunderstand me. Even my doctor has said that she's had patients who have one of my diseases, and once they're diagnosed, they just give up, and she says that she finds it inspiring that I live life to its fullest. I make plans. I spend time daily chasing grandchildren and going on trips as much as possible. I'm making the most of what I can for as long as I can. I currently don't need supplemental oxygen. There's going to be a day that comes I will. But I'm doing the best I can, and I try to be involved in other things as well. I'm involved with the National Organization for Rare Diseases. I have 4 of the rare diseases, so I feel like I'm helping out in that way. I'm involved in studies for lupus and scleroderma. I've been involved in a drug trial. I try to be involved in support groups to encourage other people who were at the place that I was 10 years ago, not knowing what to do. And when you meet other people who've found another way that might be helpful, it's always good to grasp that.
Well, Laurie, I have to tell you, it's been an absolute pleasure and joy talking to you. And,
well, thank you.
And your enthusiasm for life is infectious. And I hope that more and more people listen to your words, because they're wise words, they're true words. And I just have enjoyed enormously talking to you. And thank you for sharing the wisdom, your time, and your attitude with us.
Well, thank you, Bill. And like I say all the time, I refuse to die before my death. I'm living life to its fullest.
I love it. All right, Laurie, thank you.
Thank you. And